Dr. Mensch, the radio show that takes a real, compassionate look at mental health from A to Z. Join child and adolescent psychiatrist Dr. Gil Lichtshein each week as we explore topics that matter: autism, ADHD, anxiety, depression, OCD, schizophrenia, behavioral challenges, neurodevelopmental disorders, and more. No stigma, no judgment. Just honest conversations, new therapies, breakthrough treatments, and real solutions for real people. Mental health is not a weakness. It's a treatable medical condition, and help is available. Join the conversation now by calling the studio at 888-994-4995, Studio A. This is Dr. Mensch, where hope and healing begin.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Gil Lichtshein, aka Dr. Mensch. I'm a board-certified child, adolescent, adult psychiatrist with my office in Boca Raton. I wear many hats in my practice. I have a clinical practice, like I said, in Boca Raton. I also teach at the FAU College of Medicine. I also prescribe a type of treatment called transcranial magnetic stimulation and also intranasal ketamine. My office is located at 7100 West Camino Real, Suite 404 in Boca Raton. And today, with the holidays coming up, Thanksgiving is in 3 days, and Christmas will be exactly 4 weeks from Thursday. I mean, often you'll see in movies and TV shows how Christmas and Thanksgiving and the time in between those two holidays are all like fun. I mean, who's seen Christmas movies on Netflix or TV shows during this year where there's like gloom and doom and sadness? It's all happy, Santa Claus, eating turkey, watching football, family. And while that's true, the holidays can also be a time of great stress and can be tough for a lot of people. Even today, when I was meeting with one of my patients, was a young adult, like a 20-year-old college junior, was kind of stressing going home for Thanksgiving because her father's family, who normally doesn't come for Thanksgiving, decided for the first time in years to come to her parents' house. And she's like, it's going to be a madhouse. And she likes the kind of peace and quiet of just the immediate family. And so she's kind of hoping that they come and stay for a few days and get the heck out because it's too stressful for her. And I hear more and more about the holiday season being stressful for people, sometimes very difficult, especially for those who have experienced some loss or pain over the course of the year, and they have to experience their first Thanksgiving or their first Hanukkah or first Christmas without certain loved ones. And so I always try to tell my patients that during the holiday season, despite all the joy and happiness and togetherness that, again, these holidays try to promote, that if you are dealing with some type of tragedy or tough times emotionally, to really take care of yourself and put self-care as a priority. Because I always say, like, if you don't take care of your mind, your body gets affected. If you don't take care of your body, your mind gets affected. Your mind and body are intricately connected. The holidays could be a time where you could really try to prioritize in taking care of yourself. And I thought that it'd be appropriate to discuss some questions about self-care and the importance of self-care and staying grounded. So I have some polling questions and had some people chiming in and asking me some questions. I have one from an Emily Wilson in California. How essential is it to prioritize self-care during the holidays? Now, I always say that it's important to prioritize self-care 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. But especially in certain times of the year where it could be added stress, loneliness, like the holidays, especially if, let's say, you've experienced some loss or some personal tragedy, self-care, whether it means exercising, eating right, getting the right amount of sleep, or taking care of your mental well-being is critically important. So it doesn't necessarily mean going to see a therapist or taking antidepressant medication. I mean, some people might need that, but it could also mean exercising. I always tell my patients exercise, and again, it doesn't mean going to the gym for 4 hours a day. That any type of exercise, walking, swimming, bike riding, lifting weights. Exercise is a natural antidepressant. It makes you feel better about yourself. You feel better about yourself. You kind of just feel better in general. You look at the mirror and see you've kind of lost weight, or you're better in shape. You kind of have a better self-image of yourself. And that kind of can carry into kind of your overall attitude and how you carry yourself towards other people. David Lee from New York asks, what's the impact of neglecting self-care during stressful times? It's not unusual for individuals when they're stressed or might be down or feeling hopeless that they just kind of give up on everything. They give up hope on life, they give up hope on themselves, and often what will happen is they'll just neglect them, their body, both physically and mentally. And that, like I always give the advice to patients, let's say, are suffering from severe depression, that they might take a pill to make them feel better, but that any pill one takes is not going to work instantaneously. So you're not going to take Prozac and 5 minutes later start smiling and feeling happy. That this medication can take weeks, maybe months to work, but that there are things that one could do to kind of get them better. So one of it is like taking care of themselves. I'll tell patients coming to my office, like I'll even stress and put in patients' minds, like, come to my office to see me. It may not seem a lot, or it may not seem big, but hey, it's getting the person out of the house, getting on their 2 feet, getting maybe walking or bike riding to me. It gives them some structure. So neglecting self-care kind of negatively reinforces kind of like your depressive state. You kind of, when you're depressed, don't want to do anything, and if you just add one more thing you don't want to do, it just kind of like piles on. So I would say the holiday season is always a good time to really focus on self-care and prioritizing taking care of yourself both mentally and physically. Ava Patel from Texas says, how can I make self-care a non-negotiable part of my routine? Well, I would say that just like any other routine you have in your day, going to work, eating breakfast, taking your kids to school, going to a meeting for your job, that self-care, again, whether that's defining how you take care of yourself can mean differently to different people, but that concept of self-care should be no different than getting up in the morning, eating breakfast, getting dressed for work, brushing your teeth, taking your kids to school. It should become a part of your day-to-day routine, and important to set time for it. So whether it means, I'll get up an extra 30 minutes early in the morning to go to the gym, or to get on your treadmill or whatever exercise machine you might have at home, or go for swim a few laps in your pool in your backyard, or go for a walk. Now that it's wintertime here in South Florida, there's no excuse of the heat and humidity. It's beautiful weather, beautiful walking weather, beautiful weather to be outside and enjoy the fresh air. Or making time, let's say after work. I'm going to set aside 30 minutes, an hour after work to decompress from a long day at work, to work out, exercise, meditate, do whatever is necessary, so to the point where this becomes kind of an ingrained part of your routine. Here's another good question. Sophia Rodriguez from Illinois. How does self-care affect mental health and well-being? Well, again, there's a big interplay between your mind and your body, and they're very much related. If you take care of your body, you're in a better mindset. If you look good, you're going to feel good and you're going to think good. And likewise, if you feel bad or you think bad, you're going to look at yourself and think of yourself as not being good. So, that kind of, think of like people with eating disorders. Their self-image and how they feel about themselves affects how they look at themselves. So, a person might be super thin, but in their mind, because they feel so down, they think of themselves, they might be morbidly obese or hideous looking. So no question that mental health and well-being are intricately related. Physical well-being affects how you think, how you feel and how you think affects how you look. And it's not so unrealistic to see that people with severe mental illness often have severe health problems. People with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and people think that people with those type of chronic mental illness die as a result of maybe suicide. While that's true, these patients also have higher rates of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and what's the reason? One aspect could be their medication that they take may cause weight gain, but people who are severely mentally ill often neglect taking care of their body. And so it's not uncommon that patients with chronic mental illness actually may die from the medical complications caused by them not taking care of themselves. Why? Because they're mentally not in a good place. And when they're not mentally in a good place, then they're physically not in a good place. Let's see. Olivia Martin from Washington. How can I prioritize self-care when I have a busy schedule? So I remember when I was a second-year medical student, and I was studying for what was then called the National Board of Medical Examiner Part 1 exam, which was like the first part in getting your medical licensure. It was like a big exam that if you, at least back in the day, we're talking like 36 years ago, or 35 years ago, that if you didn't pass this exam, you would be held back and couldn't be promoted to the third year of medical school. And you have to be held back and retake the exam. But I remember that the way that my University of Illinois College of Medicine did it, that we had like 2 or 3 months dedicated time to study for this exam. And I remember that I made a point that I'm like, every day I'm going to study for X amount of time, but I also made a point that I'm going to go to the gym every day for, let's say, an hour and a half, and the time could change. But I always made it a point that I left enough time to take care of my mind and body, and that I couldn't just spend 18 hours a day studying. I made some time to go out with friends. I made some time, obviously, to eat. I made some time to shower, but I also made time to exercise. And so, it's important to dedicate some time, and we all have busy lives. And nowadays, the world kind of being crazier than it's ever been, our lives are very hectic, but it's also important to try to carve out time in your day for really important things. And that sometimes you got to put things in perspective, and that, hey, instead of going shopping, or doing some kind of more mundane things, let's say one of those days, prioritize to take care of yourself, mentally. Let's see. Charlotte Harris from Michigan. How can I create a self-care routine that works for me? I mean, self-care has to be kind of individualized. What works for one doesn't work for the other. I always kind of say the same thing with medication, that one's got to be comfortable with creating a routine and plan that works for them. We're going to take a brief commercial break, and we'll be back momentarily. Thank you.
What happens when the mind of a healer crosses over into the darkness of the human soul? From authors David Lacavetti, Dr. Gil Lichtshein, and Yolanda De Luca comes a chilling psychological thriller, Dr. Mensch, A Prescription for Evil. This gripping novel follows a respected Boca Raton psychiatrist who secretly descends into madness, transforming into a modern-day king of the underworld. Inspired by true events and Dr. Gil's childhood connection to a mob family, this story blurs the line between sanity and evil, genius and destruction. Unforgettable, disturbing, impossible to put down. Get your copy today on Amazon.com. Dr. Mensch, A Prescription for Evil, a 2020 psychological crime thriller.
You're listening to Dr. Mensch with child and adolescent psychiatrist Dr. Gil Lichtshein. For a copy of his powerful new book, Dr. Mensch's Prescription for Evil, visit Amazon.com. For more information or to schedule a consultation, contact Dr. Gil directly at 561-300-4052 or visit docgil.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Gil Lichtshein, aka Dr. Mensch. Before a commercial break, we were talking about self-care, especially during the holiday season, and now Thanksgiving is 3 days away. So the holiday season is really kind of staring us right in the face. And like I said at the beginning of this, that the holidays can be, I mean, while it's a lot of joy and fun and happiness, it can be quite troublesome, stressful for others. And that, it's important, especially during this Thanksgiving season. I always stress being with friends and loved ones is very important. The support that one can have from, again, friends, family, and other loved ones can often make the difference, and that it's always better to observe, the holiday season with other people. Now, today, unfortunately, we live in a very much more contentious society. There's a lot of divisions, political, ideological divisions, and I know it's even become a topic of like, oh, could you discuss politics at the Thanksgiving table? What can or what can't you discuss? My opinion on that is, if you're with people you love, people you care about, family, friends, that it doesn't matter, or it shouldn't matter rather, where you stand on certain ideas or idioms or topics. If some people are at a table that are liberal and others are conservative, you know what? You have the common bond of your family, your friends. That should trump anything about, and I'm saying that with no pun intended. That should trump anything about politics or anything like that. That this is a time that, despite whatever differences we have, we all should come together and support each other, and especially help those who find the holiday season a little bit more challenging and a little bit more distressing, who are going through their own personal trauma or distress. And so, again, tying in with the self-care, one aspect, especially during Thanksgiving, is really focusing on self-care, getting the help of others, relying on others, relying on professionals, but also if you're in a situation where you don't have the capability or ability to rely on professionals, is to rely on friends and family. Talking to somebody is always beneficial. Everybody, when I'm around people and I tell them what I do, they always immediately think I'm analyzing them. And I tell them, listen, I don't do that, but and when I'm off the clock, I'm off the clock. I'm not, but still, the fact that when I'm around people and they know that I'm a psychiatrist, it kind of, makes them a little bit more like less guarded, and they feel like they can talk to me. And a lot of times I'll get like feedback that just me listening to them talking gets them to feel better. And I'm not even necessarily providing any advice or even saying much, but just being a shoulder to cry on often can make a whale of a difference. So, especially during the holiday season. So I always try to encourage my patients, friends, that just be there for each other, try to support one another. You can agree to disagree in a lot of things. That doesn't mean that you can't help one another, love each other, and that in the end that would make the holiday season really what it's for, a time for fun, joy, jolly. What does it say? Have a merry, jolly Christmas. I'm Jewish. I don't celebrate Christmas, but again, for me, Hanukkah, you want to make Hanukkah, like Christmas, a time of celebration, a time of joy, a time of just enjoying being around friends and family, and that if someone is going through their own, time of crisis, try to uplift them, try to cheer them on, try to console them, and try to get them into the holiday spirit, even though it might be more difficult. And that's really like kind of, to me, like the message of what the holidays, stand for, is that, again, Thanksgiving, thankful for our health, thankful for having loving friends, loving family, thankful for having the support, thankful for, having your health, a great job, just trying to be grateful for just living. Self-care is just one, element of that. The support of family and friends is another part. And again, Thanksgiving, this Thursday when we all celebrate Thanksgiving, hoping that however each individual celebrates it, that they're going to do so in a way that kind of betters them and really, gets them into a better mindset. And then that could just have a total kind of transformation of themselves, both physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And hopefully that can kind of carry over into, every facet of the individual's life, both interpersonally, the family life, professional life, and then, everybody talks about New Year's resolutions. This could be like pre-New Year's resolution, how you kind of compose yourself and get through the holidays can really have like an impact on how you are for the rest of the year. And again, just like these questions before about the mind-body connection, you're in a better state of mind. You're going to look at yourself differently. You're going to feel about yourself differently. You're going to conduct yourself differently. I tell patients, like, again, like you go through you have a terrible anxiety. So how you think affects how you act. That affects how you behave. So it's kind of like this kind of vicious circle. You kind of stop or arrest one, part of that circle, it's going to have then an effect. So if you, let's say, change how someone thinks, so if they're thinking now the glass is half full as opposed to half empty, they're going to then conduct themselves in that manner. They're going to behave in such a manner. They're going to act and react in such a manner. And so they're not going to necessarily think of the worst case scenario or have this gloom and doom thinking, and it'll give off a better vibe to other people. Like, I don't want to be around people who are just kind of gloom and doom and just think the worst case scenario. They kind of give this bad juju and bad vibe. So kind of taking care of yourself during the holidays will kind of have a profound effect on kind of your entire persona and how you conduct yourself around to other people.
And being in touch with you.
And being in touch, exactly. And as we close, if anybody is having any difficulties during the holiday season, I can be, like I said, my office is in Boca Raton at 7100 West Camino Real, Suite 404, on the corner of Powerline Road and Camino Real. And my phone number is 561-300-4052. I try to be pretty prompt in returning phone calls, so anybody needs to reach out to me, I'm more than available to help. Appreciate you listening to this show. I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a great start to a wonderful holiday season. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for joining us for Dr. Mensch with Dr. Gil Lichtshein, helping you navigate the world of mental health with clarity and care. If you or someone you love needs support, you're not alone. Treatment works and recovery is possible. To schedule a consultation or discuss non-medication therapies, personalized treatment plans, or psychiatric care, contact Dr. Gil directly at 561-300-4052 or visit docgil.com. You can catch us each week on South Florida Oldies Radio and streaming across all social platforms. Until next time.